For decades, every cardiologist and nutritionist has told you the same story. If you want to protect your heart after 60, you must eat oatmeal. It is viewed as the ultimate safety food, the gold standard for aging. But this advice creates a dangerous trap that I see in my clinic every week. I have patients who are disciplined. They eat their oatmeal religiously every morning. Yet by 10:30 a.m., they are struggling. They feel a sudden wave of exhaustion, what we call reactive hypoglycemia. They suffer from persistent brain fog. And despite eating this low-fat breakfast, they continue to gain visceral fat around the midsection. They look at me and ask, "Doctor, I am doing everything right. Why do I feel so terrible?" Meanwhile, other patients eat oats and experience stable energy and weight loss. What is the difference? It is not luck. Recent data from continuous glucose monitors, CGMs, in older adults has revealed a startling truth. The exact same bowl of oats can behave like slow-burning fuel for one person and like a dessert for another. The difference lies entirely in the execution. For a body over 60, oatmeal is no longer neutral. Your aging physiology, specifically your insulin sensitivity and gut lining, reacts dramatically to how you prepare it, what you pair it with, and when you eat it relative to your medication. I am Dr. Jonathan Reid, a specialist in the physiology of aging. If you want to stop guessing about your health, please subscribe to this channel. Today we are going to fix your breakfast. We will walk through the 8 dangerous mistakes that turn this superfood into a metabolic liability. We are counting down to mistake number 1, a fundamental error that is secretly ruining the health of millions of seniors. Let's begin. Number 8, using instant or flavored oatmeal packets. This is the most common error I see because it is born out of convenience. I understand the appeal. You wake up, you grab a packet labeled apples and cinnamon or maple brown sugar, you add hot water, and you think you are eating a heart-healthy breakfast. But as a doctor, I need you to look closer. When you tear open that packet, what pours out? It isn't really oats anymore. It is a fine, powdery dust. To make oatmeal instant, manufacturers steam the groats and roll them so thin that the structural integrity of the fiber is completely destroyed. Biologically, you are eating pre-digested starch. Because the surface area is so vast and the fiber is so pulverized, your body doesn't need to work to break it down. It dissolves in your stomach and floods your bloodstream with glucose almost instantly. But the processing is only half the problem. The second half is the sugar load. If you turn that box over, you will likely see 10 to 14 grams of added sugar per tiny packet. That is 3 to 4 teaspoons of sugar. When you eat 2 packets, because let's be honest, one is never enough to fill you up, you are consuming the sugar equivalent of a can of soda before 9 a.m. For a 30-year-old, this is a bad breakfast. For a 60-year-old, it is a metabolic disaster. At your age, your pancreas is slower to release insulin. When you hit it with this combination of pulverized starch and refined sugar, your blood glucose spikes vertically. You might feel a quick burst of energy, but it is a trap. Within 90 minutes, your insulin will overcompensate, driving your blood sugar down rapidly. This leads to the mid-morning crash. You start to feel shaky, your focus blurs, and you feel an intense craving for more carbohydrates. You aren't getting nourishment, you are getting a chemical roller coaster. The clinical verdict: if the oats cook in 60 seconds, they digest too fast for an aging body. Throw the packets away. Number 7, adding too much sugar, even natural sugar. We move to a mistake that is often defended with great passion by my patients. This is adding too much sugar, specifically under the guise of it being natural. I hear this defense constantly in the exam room. "Dr. Reid, I never use white refined sugar. I only sweeten my oatmeal with honey, maple syrup, or a handful of raisins." There is a belief that because these sweeteners come from nature, they are metabolically free. But your aging liver does not make that distinction. To your body, sugar is sugar. The physiological problem here is what I call carbohydrate stacking. You must understand that oatmeal itself is a carbohydrate. In your digestive tract, it breaks down into glucose. When you add honey, maple syrup, or dried fruit, which is essentially concentrated sugar bombs, You are taking a high-carb food and stacking a high-sugar load on top of it. Let's look at the math of a healthy senior breakfast. You have a cup of oatmeal, approximately 27 grams of carbs. You slice in a whole banana, another 27 grams. You drizzle a tablespoon of honey, 17 grams. You toss in a handful of raisins, 20 grams. You have just created a breakfast with nearly 90 grams of carbohydrates and almost no protein to blunt the impact. For a 20-year-old athlete, this is fuel. But for a 65-year-old, this is an insulin nightmare. Your pancreas has to produce a massive amount of insulin to manage that load. Over time, this daily surge does not just store fat around your belly. It causes glycation. Glycation is a process where excess sugar molecules bind to protein and fat in your body, creating sticky byproducts that stiffen your blood vessels and age your skin. By trying to make your oatmeal taste good, you are inadvertently turning a heart-healthy meal into a pro-inflammatory event. The clinical verdict: the problem isn't that honey is evil. The problem is that sugar plus oats is simply too fast for your metabolism. If you need sweetness, use fresh berries which have fiber or a dash of cinnamon, but stop treating your oatmeal like a dessert. Number 6, eating oatmeal without protein. We are now addressing a structural error that ruins the potential of this meal more than anything else. This is eating oatmeal as a naked carbohydrate. Most seniors prepare oatmeal in the simplest way possible: oats, water, and maybe a little fruit. While this looks clean, biologically it is incomplete. When you eat oatmeal by itself, you are consuming a nearly 100% carbohydrate meal. Even though oats contain complex carbohydrates, without protein or fat to slow them down, they leave the stomach surprisingly fast. This is a concept known as gastric emptying rate. Protein is the anchor. It requires acid and enzymes to break down, which signals your stomach to slow the release of food into the small intestine. When you skip the protein, you remove the anchor. The oatmeal rushes through, spiking your blood sugar, and then, crucially, it leaves you. This leads to a specific symptom I hear about constantly: the 10:30 shakes. Patients tell me, "Doctor, I eat a big bowl of oats at 8 a.m., but by 10:30, I feel weak. My hands get a little shaky, and I feel like I need to sit down." They often think this is just getting old, or perhaps a blood pressure issue. In reality, it is a lack of satiety and a blood sugar crash. Your body has burned through the fuel, and because there were no amino acids, protein, to sustain you, you are running on empty. Furthermore, we must talk about sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass. After 60, your body becomes less efficient at processing protein. You need more protein per meal just to maintain the muscle you have. A bowl of oats with water provides almost zero usable protein for muscle repair. If this is your breakfast every day for 10 years, you are missing a critical opportunity to feed your muscle tissue during the time of day when your body is most desperate for repair. The clinical verdict: oatmeal is not a solo act, it is a vehicle. You must pair it with eggs on the side, stir in protein powder, or add Greek yogurt. Never let oatmeal enter your stomach alone. Number 5, treating oatmeal as a complete meal. We arrive at number 5, a mistake that stems from a fundamental misunderstanding of what oatmeal actually is. This is the error of treating oatmeal as a complete nutritional source. Because oatmeal carries the heart-healthy seal and is often touted as a superfood, many seniors fall into the trap of believing that a bowl of oats provides everything their body needs for the morning. They eat a large bowl, perhaps with a splash of milk, and think, "I have done my job for the day." Biologically, this is dangerous reasoning. While oats are an excellent source of manganese and fiber, they are functionally a macronutrient monopoly. They are almost entirely carbohydrate. They are devoid of the essential building blocks that a body over 60 desperately requires to repair itself. Specifically, oats lack leucine, the primary amino acid required to trigger muscle protein synthesis. As we discussed in the previous point, seniors are fighting a war against muscle loss. If your breakfast contains no leucine, your body cannot switch into repair mode. You are fueling the machine, but you aren't maintaining the parts. Furthermore, oats are critically low in essential fatty acids and fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin D and K2. I often see patients who I describe as skinny fat. They are thin, they eat very clean, mostly grains and fruits, yet they have high visceral fat and very low muscle tone. They are weak. This is often because they have spent years eating heart-healthy grains, but starving their bodies of the structural fats and proteins needed for hormone production and cell membrane health. When you treat oatmeal as the entire meal, you are filling your stomach volume with fiber, which signals fullness to the brain, preventing you from eating the nutrient-dense foods like eggs, yogurt, or avocados that you actually need. You are effectively crowding out nutrition with fiber. The clinical verdict: you must stop looking at oatmeal as the house. It is simply the concrete foundation. You cannot live on a foundation alone. You must build the rest of the house, the proteins, the healthy fats, the antioxidants on top of it. Oatmeal is a side dish, never the main event. Number 4, not soaking oats before cooking. We arrive at number 4, a mistake that is purely technical but has profound chemical consequences for your digestion. This is not soaking oats before cooking. In our modern rush culture, most people treat oatmeal like instant noodles. Boil water, toss in dry oats, cook for 5 minutes, and eat. While this makes the oats soft enough to chew, it fails to unlock them chemically. Here is the science. Oats, like all grains, contain a protective compound called phytic acid. In nature, this protects the seed. But in the human body, phytic acid acts as an anti-nutrient. Phytic acid has a strong magnetic pull for minerals. When you eat unsoaked oats, the phytic acid binds to critical minerals in your digestive tract, specifically magnesium, iron, zinc, and calcium. It creates an insoluble complex that your gut cannot absorb. Essentially, the oats steal these minerals and flush them out of your body. For a person over 60, this is a strategic loss. You are at an age where bone density, calcium, and immune function, zinc, are top priorities. You cannot afford to eat a healthy breakfast that actively blocks the absorption of the very nutrients you are trying to protect. Furthermore, many patients tell me, "Doctor, oatmeal feels heavy, it sits like a brick." That is because without soaking, the grain is still in its defensive state, forcing your aging stomach acid to work overtime. The solution is time. By soaking your oats overnight, or even for just 1 hour, in water with a splash of apple cider vinegar or lemon juice, you activate an enzyme called phytase. This breaks down the phytic acid, releasing the minerals and pre-digesting the starch. The clinical verdict: if you cook dry oats straight from the bag, you are working harder for less nutrition. Soak them to unlock the minerals your body needs. Number 3, cooking oats in milk from the start. We move here, a culinary habit that I need you to break immediately. This is the mistake of cooking oats directly in milk. I know why you do it. You want the oatmeal to be creamy. You think that boiling it in milk adds calcium and flavor. But physically and chemically, this is the wrong way to treat a grain. When you boil oats and milk together from the very beginning, you are not just cooking food. You are creating biological glue. Here is what happens in the pot. The heat causes the starch in the oats to explode and gelatinize. Simultaneously, the proteins in the milk, casein and whey, bind to that starch. As the water evaporates, this mixture thickens rapidly, turning into a dense, sticky paste that rivals wet cement. For a senior digestion, this texture is an enemy. As we age, our gastric motility, the ability of the stomach to churn and push food down, slows down. When you eat a bowl of milk-boiled oats, you are swallowing a heavy, viscous bolus that creates a massive workload for your stomach. This is why so many of you feel bloated, heavy, or sleepy immediately after breakfast. Your body is diverting all its energy just to churn through that sticky mass. Furthermore, milk scorches at a much lower temperature than water. By the time the oats are fully cooked, the milk sugars, lactose, have often degraded or burned on the bottom of the pan, affecting the taste and nutrient profile. The clinical verdict: stop forcing your stomach to fight your breakfast. The correct method is non-negotiable. Cook your oats in water first. Let the water hydrate the grain and soften the fiber. Once the oats are fully cooked and fluffy, remove the pot from the heat. Then stir in your milk or cream. This preserves the proteins in the milk, keeps the texture light, and ensures your digestion handles the meal with ease. Number 2, eating oatmeal. Too close to medications. We are now down to number 2. And frankly, this is the mistake that worries me the most. This is not just about nutrition. This is about drug safety. This is the error of eating oatmeal simultaneously with your morning medication. I see this routine in almost every senior household. You wake up, you boil your oats, and while they cool down, you pop your pill organizer. You swallow your blood pressure medication, your thyroid medication, and your heart pills right along with your first spoonful of oatmeal. You are likely neutralizing your own treatment. The culprit here is the very thing that makes oatmeal healthy, beta-glucan. As we discussed, beta-glucan is a soluble fiber. When it mixes with water in your gut, it forms a thick, viscous gel. This gel is wonderful for trapping cholesterol, but it does not discriminate. It also traps medications. This gel coats the lining of the stomach and the upper small intestine, the exact sites where most pharmaceutical drugs are designed to be absorbed. If you take a pill and immediately cover it in this oat gel, you are creating a physical barrier. You might swallow a 50 milligram dose, but your body may only absorb 30 milligram. I see this specifically with levothyroxine, thyroid medication, and certain blood pressure blockers. The consequences are baffling for both the patient and the doctor. You come in, your numbers are still high, so we increase your dosage. But the problem wasn't the dosage, it was the oatmeal blocking the absorption. If you skip breakfast one day, suddenly you absorb the full dose, and you might experience a dangerous drop in pressure or palpitations. It creates instability that we cannot track. The clinical verdict: you must separate church and state. The rule is simple. Take your medications at least 30 minutes before you eat your oatmeal, or wait 2 hours after. Give the drug a clear path to your bloodstream before you send in the fiber. Number 1, believing oatmeal automatically stabilizes blood sugar. We have arrived at the number 1 spot. This is not a cooking error. This is a psychological trap that keeps millions of seniors stuck in a cycle of fatigue and weight gain. Mistake number 1 is the blind faith that oatmeal is automatically safe for blood sugar. For decades, you have been sold a story. Oats are low glycemic. Oats burn slow. Oats are good for diabetes. So you eat them. You eat them even when you feel tired afterwards. You eat them even when your midsection keeps growing. You eat them because you believe the heart-healthy stamp on the box matters more than the signals from your own body. Here is the hard truth. For a metabolic system over 60, which is already fighting natural insulin resistance, oatmeal is not a free pass. It is a dense, high-carbohydrate fuel source. If you are sedentary, and if you prepare it incorrectly, as we just discussed, that bowl of oats does not act like a complex grain. It acts like a glucose bomb. I have patients who treat oatmeal like medicine. They think, my sugar is high, so I must eat more oatmeal to fix it. You cannot cure a carbohydrate tolerance problem by flooding your system with more carbohydrates. When you eat oatmeal under the blind assumption that it is healthy, you ignore the reality of what it is doing to your specific biology. You ignore the crash at 10 a.m. You ignore the bloating. You treat the symptom, eating the oats, as the cure. This belief is dangerous because it stops you from asking the right questions. It stops you from adding the protein. It stops you from soaking the grain. It makes you lazy with your nutrition because you think the oats are doing the work for you. The clinical verdict: oatmeal is not magic, it is just food. And like any food, it can be a tool or a weapon. If you eat it and feel energized, it is a tool. If you eat it and need a nap an hour later, it is a weapon. Stop trusting the marketing and start trusting your metabolism. Now, after hearing this list, you might be wondering, is oatmeal still worth keeping in my diet? The answer is absolutely yes. We are not here to ban this food. We are here to upgrade it. Oatmeal remains a powerful tool for heart health, but only if you respect the rules of your aging physiology. If you want to keep oats in your life after 60, here is the protocol. 1. Upgrade the grain. Stop buying instant packets. Switch to steel-cut oats or thick-rolled oats. These have intact fiber structures that force your body to digest them slowly. 2. Soak the night before. Put your oats in water with a drop of lemon juice overnight. This unlocks the minerals and makes them digestible. 3. Cook in water. Always start with water. Add your splash of milk or cream only after they are cooked. 4. Never eat alone. Always pair your bowl with a source of protein, like 2 eggs on the side, or stir in a scoop of high-quality protein powder. 5. Respect the drug window. Take your medications at least 30 minutes before or 2 hours after your meal. At the end of the day, my goal is not to scare you away from food. It is to give you back control over your energy. After age 60, food is no longer just calories. It is biological information. When you eat oatmeal the wrong way, you are sending a signal of inflammation and storage. When you eat it the right way, you are sending a signal of sustained energy and repair. Your body doesn't need less food, it needs smarter strategies. I want to hear from you in the comments below. Which of these 8 mistakes have you been making? Be honest. I read the comments and your experience helps others realize they aren't alone. If you found this guide helpful, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel. We are building a community here that values physiology over fads. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid. Treat your body with the respect it has earned. I'll see you in the next video.